This is Mrs. Hill here, narrating our lesson, our shared reading lesson for the Little House for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. So this is, you can see up here, this is activity 3. You, of course, have the option to go through this activity and complete it without me narrating. But if you would like me to narrate and to walk you through the activity, that's what this screen recording video is for. So it always tells you the first page here of the slide. Today we're going to tell how the setting changed in the story. So think about the example I used yesterday. Was Peter's Chair. That was the most recent book that the kids read with me before we left school for the year. So this will help your memory. If we were in school, of course, I would share some of our anchor charts that we made about setting, but I can't do that. So let me bring up, remember this book, Peter's Chair by Ezra Jack Keats. So we talked a little bit yesterday about characters. So a major character in the story would have been Peter, right? He was the main character. Some supporting characters would have been like here you see Peter's father, right? Peter's father would have been a minor character. Let's see if we have any more. The baby, his baby sister would have been a minor character. The dog even was a minor character. So they were supporting characters in Peter's Chair. So those were the characters. Now think about the setting. So where did the story take place? Where did Peter's Chair take place? So it was mostly in Peter's house. Now, at one point in the story, Peter does go outside of his house. He gets so upset that his parents keep painting all of his furniture for the new baby. They keep painting it pink, and he gets so mad he decides he's going to run away. So he goes outside, and he just kind of sets up shop right out here outside his house. In fact, this is his window right here that later on his mother comes and calls for him out the window. So the setting of the story, where is in and right outside Peter's house. When? Well, we're not sure exactly when, but we could say that it might be based on, what Peter's wearing here when he's outside. It could maybe be spring, He's not in shorts and a t-shirt or anything. So it might still be a little chilly outside, or it could also be fall, right? So remember that the setting tells when and where a story takes place. Okay. So we're going to focus today on the setting. Again, if you need other languages, you will have to get into the Activity 3 shared and click on one of the other languages that's available. The school districts, if I didn't say already, these are the slides that are put forth from the school district of Philadelphia for us to share with parents and students. So it always gives you the activity, what the activity is going to be, and what the directions are with links. I think all of that is too wordy, and I like to just go through these slides. So they give you background information or prior knowledge so that you can understand what we're going to be doing in the lesson. So yesterday we watched a little bit about city versus country life. And this is from Sesame Street, you can see here. So we're going to watch this quickly, and then we will move on with our lesson.
Hi, y'all, I got something to tell ya. If you live in the country on a farm like me, then the barn's the tallest building that you ever will see. We get up in the morning, we go out and feed the chicks, and riding on horses is how we get our kicks. Yodelay, oh, yodelay, a life in the country is the life for me.
Yeah, well, let me lay something on you, huh? Yeah, like I live in the city. My pad's on a very neat street. And hanging out on the stoop in front is where the cats all meet. Dig what I mean? Huh? We jam into subways or buses when we want to go downtown. And a game of stickball in the gutter is the coolest game around. Scatty, nothing around beats the city for me.
Oh, I'd love to see the city, all the buildings in the line. ducks.
And I would miss the busy sound of buses, cars, and trucks.
Oh, yodelady, oh, yodelady. A life in the country, it's a city for me.
Skip it on the uppity.
We get it.
So in that video, you saw some of the differences between the city life and the country life. So now we're going to watch another video, very similar to yesterday. This was the same girl who narrated yesterday's video, What is a Character? And today is What is a Setting? Because today we're focusing on the setting of the story.
Good to see you.
Yeah, hey, what's with the polka dots?
No, what do you mean?
Polka dots are out. It's polka.
Story Elements for Kids. What is a Setting? By Teaching Without Frills. Story elements are the different parts of a fiction story. The setting is an important story element. Can you figure out the definition of setting from the following examples? The setting might be a hot, sunny day at the beach during the summertime. Or it could be a cold, rainy night at a haunted house in October. So what do you think the definition of setting is? Pause here to think, or keep watching to find out. Setting is the time and place of a story. It often answers the questions when and where. The time of a story may be in the past or in the future, in the daytime or at night, in the summer or winter. A story may take place in a school, in a jungle, in a big city, in the desert, or in a variety of other places. We can also use adjectives or describing words to tell about the setting, like if it's sunny, cold, bright, busy, or spooky. You can determine the setting of a story by looking at the illustrations and finding information in the text. Let's try it. I was walking in the park on a warm day. How would you describe this setting? The text tells you I'm in a park, it's warm, and it's daytime. The illustration shows flowers and birds and the sun. I think it might be spring. So we could describe the setting as a warm spring day in the park. So remember, setting is the time and place a story happens. What settings have you seen in stories before? If you liked this video, make sure you click the
All right, so let's go back to our slide here. So that gave us a little bit of background information of what the setting is. Now, as I said yesterday, you have the option of rereading The Little House. I would love to show you my copy of the book and read it with you and, do another sight word lesson and all of that. However, unfortunately, my book got lost in transit from Amazon. So I had to just take a refund, which means I will not be getting the story. So for this week, I'm going to continue with just these screen videos leading you through the lesson. So if you need a recap of what the book is about, you could, and you'll actually have to go into the slide yourself for this, unless you have the physical book at your house with you. And you can go through, and this is a PDF of the book, and you can have an adult at home read this to you, or you can try reading it yourself. It might be a little tricky at this point. This is a higher level book for kindergarten. Or if you want to listen to the story, you can click on the YouTube link, okay, which is also the same read aloud that I shared on Monday to get you familiar with the story. You can also just go to YouTube and search The Little House Book Read Aloud. So those are your options for if you need to re-listen, if you need to listen again to the story. So if you do need to do that, I suggest taking a moment to pause this video, and then you can come back later and finish the rest of the lesson with me. So hopefully you got a chance to reread the text, The Little House, or at least flip through and do a picture walk. And I want you to go back into your text, and I want you to look at the setting of the story, and I'm going to bring my text up too, so you can watch with me, or if you have the text in front of you, You can use yours. So looking at the setting of the story here on page 5, all right, I see some people outside. I see the little house, a few trees, and some clouds. So I'm just going to go through the pictures, and I want you to pay attention to how the setting changes around the little house. Okay, so look how the setting is changing. Now here we can tell that the seasons are changing, right? Long summer days, and then this goes into, and it says right here, in the fall, right? You see that? In the fall. So we know the season's changing, and then this is obviously winter, right? So we started, here's a setting change. We started with summer, might have even had, yep, here in the spring, so spring, summer, long summer days, fall, to winter. So that is a way that the setting is changing. And look what they're doing here. Look at that. There was just one little house, and now there's a bunch of houses. So look how the setting is changing. More change, taller buildings. This countryside is turning into a city. There, you can barely find the little house there. Look how, remember how the clouds used to be, the blue clouds in the sky, and now it's like dark and smoggy from all the pollution, all the cars and the trains. Look at all the traffic. So look at this picture here on page 23. Here's the little house, okay? Now let's go all the way back to what it used to look like before it turned into a city. So keep that in mind, and feel free to look back at your book as you need to see how the setting changed. So for your assignment, it says draw or write. Now you know Mrs. Hill, and I want you to do both. Anything you draw, you should at least label. And every student in my class, when we left March 13th, was capable of writing a sentence also. So I'm going to say that you should be drawing and writing. So it says draw 2 pictures or write 2 sentences telling how the setting changed in the story. So very similar to yesterday, you can take a blank piece of paper, fold it in half from bottom to top, draw your crease. And on the top part, you can draw 1 picture of how the setting looked when the book started, and then how the setting looked when the book ended. And I'm also going to do an example of that for you so that you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to show you what I was talking about with what your paper should look like to draw your pictures, okay? So if you take a regular blank sheet of paper like this, and you fold it in half from bottom to top, open it up. Okay. Remember, what's in blue, you write to. So the first thing I do is always the same. I pick up my pencil and I write my name. So I'm going to write Mrs. Hill up here, and you will write your name. And then I'm going to draw my crease. Okay, so now you have 2 spaces. In the top space, you should draw what the setting looked like in the beginning of the story. The beginning of the story. So what did it look like, let's say on page 6. Okay, so you can write page 6 here if you need some help. Okay, and then I think that was page 23 where all of the buildings, the tall buildings were, and it looked more like a city. So if you need some help, you can use those pages. Do you have to use those pages? No. The idea, though, is to show how the setting changed. All right. So if you need help, so right here it says need help. So if you're struggling, you can watch a short video again on what the setting is. So this is something that you would have to actually go in through the Google Classroom to access this. So you'll go to the activity 3 that just says shared, and it's not narrated by Mrs. Hill. And you can go to slide 7. and click on these links. It also suggests taking a picture walk, which is something that I just did with you. So looking at the setting, how do the pictures change? Okay. If you need an example, you can look also at, remember when we talked about how it was sunny and then it was more cloudy and there was a lot of smog in the sky from the vehicles and everything. One scene was snowy. So you can talk about how the setting changes that way too. So when I did my demonstration from page 6 to page 23, I was thinking more about how the buildings changed, everything around it. But you could also talk about the seasonal changes that you see too. You can also, this is an example here of your sentence, because I do want to see words on your page also. So this says the setting changed from blank to blank. So sunny to what? Or you could say, if you're looking at the buildings, you could talk about how the setting changed with the buildings and what you saw around surrounding the little house in the story. Okay. Then these are just your resources and background information. As always, feel free to reach out if you need any more assistance with this assignment. Thank you.